You know, collecting can be a rather chaotic experience with several types of emotions tied to it: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. That's right, we're talking about the 5 stages of Hot Toys collecting, and you gotta check this one out. Well, what's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel for a major discussion today on the 5 stages of Hot Toys collecting. But if this is your first time to the channel, I want to give you a warm welcome and encourage you to subscribe if you've not done so already. If you have been here for multiple videos and you still have not subscribed yourself, well, I don't know what to tell you at this point, but I am happy that you are here regardless. So please go ahead and give me that presumptive like to ensure that this video gets seen by as many people as we possibly can. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get going. Now, I've said it before, I am not a smart man, nor do I really claim to be, but I have gleaned some life experiences over my time as a collector that I think can be beneficial to each and every one of you and myself in retrospect. Sadly, I've seen collectors come and go from this hobby over the years, and I think a few reasons can be pointed to not fully understanding the cycle that comes along with collecting. Yes, that's right, our collecting and our purchasing is very cyclical in nature, and ironically, is almost identical to the stages of grief proposed by psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in 1969. She said that dealing with grief can be summarized in 5 distinct stages, and for those that may not know what those are, I'll give you a real quick overview and a detour of them right here. The first up that she said is denial. Initially, people may deny the reality of a situation to avoid pain. Number 2 is anger. As reality sets in, individuals may become angry and frustrated, often looking for something or someone to blame. Next up is bargaining. This stage involves attempting to negotiate or bargain with a higher power to change the situation. Number 4, depression. Feelings of sadness, regret, and hopelessness may emerge as the full weight of the situation is finally realized. And finally, we arrive at acceptance, where individuals finally come to terms with the reality of the situation and begin to find ways to move forward, or, in the case of the collector, how to dive right back in. But it's important to note that much like grief, not everyone experiences these collecting stages in a linear fashion. Meaning, if you are in denial, the next is definitely going to be anger. Not necessarily, it fluctuates. Some may revisit certain stages over and over again, or experience them in a different order. So, all that to say, nothing is a true science, so don't hold me to it, but I think we can have some fun here. So, let's start with denial. And no, it's not a river in Egypt. I know, poor dad joke, but whatever. As a collector, we often struggle with admitting that there ever is anything going on in the first place. As they say, admitting you have a problem is the first step to recovery, but denial often manifests or makes itself evident to a collector as an unwavering belief that one's passion knows no bounds. When you first start out collecting Hot Toys or 6-scale figures, or anything for that matter, I think there are people that truly believe it when they tell themselves, "I'm only getting one." Collectors may initially brush off any concerns about a budget, display constraints, or practicality and start diving headfirst into acquiring their grails, collecting backwards, buying things just to have them, and so on and so forth. This phase is characterized by an almost blissful ignorance of the realities that come with indulging in high-end collectibles. For many collectors, though, denial serves as a coping mechanism, allowing us to pursue our passions without being weighed down by the constraints of reality. Perhaps you are in this stage right now. Have you ever said the following: "I'm only getting one of this character," or "I don't have the room, but I'll make it work," or "I don't collect this line, but damn it looks cool," or "buy now, worry later"? The list goes on and on. If you have said yes to any of the above, you may be struggling with denial. For many, once denial has run its course and you have more unwanted items in your collection than you can shake a stick at, or boxes piling up by the door, we are then smacked right in the face with the next phase of collecting, and that is anger. And sadly, too many people stay right here. As collectors immerse themselves deeper into this game, we will inevitably encounter moments of frustration. It's just the way it is. The reasoning behind this, though, can vary, and there's no firm explanation as to why, but here are just a few. Maybe overpaying for a piece that's selling for substantially lower than when you first got it. Dealing with shady retailers and resellers that have taken advantage of you. maybe being stuck bitten off more than you can chew financially, missing out on an exclusive, breaking a figure, and much, much more. The intensity of this phase can vary greatly, as you can imagine, ranging from mild irritation to outright rage depending on your level of investment in your collection. Real collectors may take it more serious than those who only have a couple figures. But let me just say, being angry is okay. It's a normal emotion. But what is not okay is maliciously hurting people because you are having a bad day. Big difference, so rage on responsibly, everyone. The next stage in collecting is bargaining. In the bargaining stage, collectors attempt to negotiate with themselves, sellers, or the universe in an effort to reconcile and make sense of their wants and desires within the realities of their situation. This is not good, and I think that far too many of us actually do live here. This often involves rationalizing your purchases, justifying extravagant expenses, or seeking out alternative means to acquire figures at a lower cost simply because you need that fix. Bargaining is that desire to find a middle ground between our head collecting and vision and the practical constraints and real-world realities. But also within this phase, you can be stressed with uncertainty and anxiety, trying to justify the reason for purchases within this unpredictable economy and skyrocketing prices. If you're literally praying to whatever god you pray to hit the lottery so that you can pay your debts and secure your next pre-order, let's pump the brakes and get some real help. Things need to change. But when we desire to actually have change, that is when the fourth phase hits: depression. As the initial excitement inevitably wears off and the harsh realities of a hobby set in, we may experience feelings of sadness, disappointment, or even despair. Maybe you're looking around your collection room and you just see a bunch of wasted money, time, and potential. This depression phase is characterized by a sense of loss or disillusionment as collectors come to terms with the limitations of their own resources and the challenges of maintaining a collection like it over time. Maybe you can't collect them all, and that's fine. Maybe the dynamic pose has put a forever crease in your pristine figure. That's okay too. Perhaps you're going to need to sell some pieces to make good on other financial commitments. That is normal and responsible. Whether it's the realization that certain items and grails will forever remain out of reach, or it's simply just the struggle to keep up with ever-increasing prices, depression can cast a shadow over even the most dedicated collector's enthusiasm. This world is hard right now, and our figures should be bringing us joy, not sadness. They should reflect an opportunity for escapism and happiness, from looking back at moments that made us smile, not a dark cavern of scorn and mistakes made. While this phase can be bleak, thankfully, this is not the end. The final stage is acceptance. Despite the ups and downs of the collecting journey, many collectors eventually reach a state of acceptance. Acceptance is marked by a newfound sense of peace and contentment as we learn to embrace the imperfections of our collecting habits and find joy in the items that we already have. Acceptance does not mean giving up one's collecting dreams and selling it all. No! Rather, it involves a shift in your perspective, focusing on gratitude for what one has rather than lamenting what we don't. It's that simple. Simply shifting our spending to pieces we really want instead of nice to haves. It is in this stage that collectors truly come to appreciate the journey itself, recognizing that the collecting of hot toys and other collectibles is just not about getting new stuff and the biggest collection, but rather the experiences and memories that accompany them. In conclusion, to wrap this all up, when people are dealing with grief and going through these 5 phases, many suggest trying something called the 3 C's, and I will share those with you now because once again, it mirrors so perfectly the world of collecting, and those are choose, connect, and communicate. Choose what's best for you. Even during dark bouts of collecting, you still possess the dignity of choice. Number 2 is connect. Join some communities and groups that share your common interests. Subscribe to this channel and other collectors out there. You are not alone. And finally, number 3, communicate. Don't just join the above, engage. This collecting journey is supposed to be fun, so let's enjoy the ride together. That's going to do it for us here today. The 5 stages of collecting. How do we do? Where are you in this process? And how can I help? If you feel comfortable sharing, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear and interact with you. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel and you like this type of content, as I said above, connect to this community. subscribe, and I promise it'll be rewarding for you in the end. Happy collecting, enjoy the cycle and the journey, and I'll be seeing you in our next video.